G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so good to see you. I do hope you are super well. What an amazing start to the year for Nikon. Not only have we had the P1100, the 35mm 1.2, but now we have the power zoom 28-135 f4, along with, at exactly the same time, the Nikon Red announcement of red cameras with Z mount lenses. This is just very, very exciting. And of course, as was speculated in my power zoom video, that gold ring maybe was going to end up on cameras with gold rings, gold mounts. Well, it absolutely became the case. Here's a mock-up I made about 4 months ago speculating that this might happen. Well, it's almost exactly the same. Let's face it, Nikon bought a cinema company. The chances of them not making Z mount red cameras was extremely low because, of course, they want to sell more lenses. From my perspective, it was going to happen. It was just a matter of when. And then as for the gold part, well, it either was going to happen or it wasn't. It was a 50-50 bet. Once I saw the gold ring on the power zoom lens, it was like, I think there's something going on here. Not really very hard to predict. Here we are today, and now we have two of Red's very best cameras. We have the Raptor X along with the Komodo-X. Both of these cameras are global sensor cameras. These are the ones that I suspect are probably the most popular with Red's customers. They're global sensors. So, you know, it's not just Sony that has a monopoly on global sensors today. And interestingly, the Komodo-X is at a roughly similar price, but conversely, the Komodo is a Super 35, which is essentially an APS-C global sensor, and of course the A9 III is the 35mm sensor. But of course, Red does have their all but 35mm version, which is their VistaVision version, which is 8K. In all of this, between Red and Sony, they both have global sensor cameras that are very powerful. Today we have the very first of these cameras with the Z mount, and that is the ridiculously exciting part. But this is far more than just the Z mount. There's actually some technology trickling across from Nikon already. This is something again that we speculated on. Would it have to do with autofocus systems and menus, for example? And we can see here already Nikon's autofocus algorithms, some of their technology, some of their features are already in the upgrades that we're seeing here to Red. This includes control over how quickly a camera will react once something changes within the focus area. You can dial up the amount of time, whether it's kind of instant or it should wait a second or so before it reacts, maybe 2 seconds. I've never timed it actually. So Red now does that. And if you're mounting Z mount lenses, you can then actually tell the lens how quickly, once it decides to change focus to the next focus position, how quickly will it do it? Will it snap to focus or will it do a very slow and gentle focus? You can dial that up with Z mount lenses. The other feature works with RF lenses as well. So it totally looks like Red is going to continue to support the RF mount on Z, which of course is what they've already said in the past. There's no plans to change anything there for the time being. For someone like me, who's been a Nikon user and has, I think, still something like 15 f-mount lenses and probably even more Z mount lenses at this point in time, I've already got an enormous array of lenses that could go onto a Z mount camera. And this means for cinematographers who have in the past been rehousing, essentially changing the mount of vintage Nikon lenses to put them onto cinema cameras, they won't have to do that anymore. They will simply just have to grab an F to Z adapter and then suddenly they can use all of that old F-mount glass. This is extraordinary. So not only do you have the full range of every single F-mount lens that's made, which is in the hundreds. Just a couple of years ago, I think we reached the 120 million produced and sold by Nikon. All those lenses are out there, or most of them are out there, and some of them, particular lenses, are highly coveted by cinematographers. Then you've got all the Z lenses, but of course the Z mount is the largest and it's got the shortest flange distance. And what that means is that you can mount almost every lens under the sun. Now, the only mount that was questionable, whether you could potentially make an adapter for it, was the RF mount, and of course they make a camera for that. Essentially, Nikon is selling a product which I think you can put almost every lens mount ever made onto that product, onto a RED. And if you purchase a RED Z mount camera, you can put pretty much every lens known to man on that mount, except maybe the RF. I don't think we've seen an adapter yet for that. Maybe it'll come one day. And this means you've got access to every lens. E-mount, X-mount, even some of my Mamiya, I've got an adapter for my Mamiya lenses to go on the Z mount. Like, it's kind of unbelievable. There's no shortage of lenses. Nikon/RED have also today announced an adapter that allows you to adapt PL lenses to the Z mount. And it's a substantial adapter. It looks kind of similar to an F to Z adapter. And there will be a version coming out that has an electronic ND filter in there as well. This is crazy exciting stuff. The Komodo, which is a 6K video camera, it's not ridiculously priced considering that it is a Hollywood/Netflix level camera. And these are just two benchmarks that we might think about when we're wanting to create a cinema camera system. These are two organizations or two bodies that it's like, yeah, we really want access to those two areas if we want to have a viable cinema camera company. Well, RED is already there in both of those spaces, and you can now natively mount Z mount lenses, which so many of us have. Millions have been sold already. And the Komodo-X is affordable. Like, in this country, I just looked it up, and I think the price was around $11,000. Now, that, you might go, that's a lot. If you've got people like me, creators, other types of people who go, you know what, I do actually want the power of a cine camera. Because you might be asking the question, well, why don't you just shoot on your Z9 and your Z8 and your Z6 III? Totally true. Totally viable. Absolutely cool. We know they're very powerful and they work very well. There are a few things, though, like that global sensor, which is pretty exciting. Also including RED's color science, which is highly coveted, which we get a taste of with those LUTs. I think there's probably more to it than just those LUTs. We're starting to get above my pay grade at this point in time. RED's compression algorithms, which are also highly regarded in the business. This is a massive day. We've got the Raptor X 8K VistaVision, essentially full frame, global, immense dynamic range camera at the full frame end of the spectrum, and we've got the Komodo-X, which is also global, also with that huge dynamic range at the essentially APS-C end of the spectrum, or Super 35 as it's known in the cinema world. They're not exactly the same. They're very close though. And well, Nikon/RED, they've got you covered. Epic announcement. I can't wait to talk more about it, to be honest. I can't wait to get my hands maybe on a Komodo-X, I don't know, because all around the world things aren't changing. So you don't talk to Nikon to get a RED camera, you talk to RED or the local RED distributors. So it's up to them as to whether they want to put them in the hands of people like me, who, as I said, this is now a Z mount camera, and I have probably one of the largest collections, one of the largest private collections of Z mount lenses, probably here in Australia. Plus, I've got this channel and I can certainly show off how cool and how extraordinary this technology is, and just how exciting, how quickly Nikon have moved from informing us 11 months ago that they had made this purchase to actually some pretty large and fundamental changes and upgrades by way of releasing the LUTs that we have seen, along with now, this is a serious hardware announcement. And something else I just wanted to touch on, that Nikon, in their official press release, which is on nikon.com, they talk about the Z Cinema series. The V-Raptor X Z Mount and the Komodo-X Z Mount are the first entries into the all-new Z Cinema Cinema series, a new product line of co-developed solutions from Nikon and Red. The Z Cinema series is targeted at providing high-quality solutions for the cinema, high-end production and creator market. It marks the initial stage of integration of Nikon's rich history and powerful technology and Red's cutting-edge cinema solutions to create products designed for filmmakers and content creators operating at the highest level across the globe. There's a lot in that paragraph, but to me the most important part is they state here, the Raptor and the Komodo are the first entries into the all-new Z Cinema series. So this is just the first two. This is just where the story's beginning. Which, of course, as I've said many times before, these are commercial companies. They're not just going to make... This is not the only release and the last release. So, of course, there's more to come. Who knows when, but they're publicly putting it out there. Very quickly before we go, I just want to touch on these two cameras that they've decided to add the Z Mount to. And we have, of course, the V-Raptor X Z Mount, Red's groundbreaking flagship camera, the V-Raptor X, recognized for its unmatched low-light performance, dynamic range, resolution, high frame rates, and industry-leading 8K VistaVision global shutter large format sensor, is now available with a Z mount. Featuring Red's Global Vision, a suite of tools powered by the global shutter sensor and designed to capture organic and natural imagery. The V-Raptor X Z Mount achieves a dynamic range of up to 20 plus stops. That's incredible for a global camera. In extended highlight mode for more efficient capture of colors and details in highlight. This realizes smoother, more delicate tones even under difficult lighting and environmental conditions. Crazy camera, now native Z. Very, very exciting. The Komodo-X, which packs a 6K Super 35 global shutter sensor with a wide dynamic range and high speed performance in a compact form factor, is now available with a Z mount. The Komodo-X Z mount supports 6K recording up to 80 frames per second and 4K up to 120 frames per second, as well as Red's custom color science, which is built on 20 years of experience in the filmmaking market and delivers beautiful cinema quality imaging. The Red Code RAW format, Red's proprietary video data format, is very efficient and easy to manage when editing and offers superior grading flexibility. These are the two cameras. I'm super excited. I can't wait to hear your comments below. We're going to talk a whole lot more about this very, very soon. It's been so good to see you. If this is your first time here, I'd love to see you again. But here we go. Red Z. It has begun. It is real. Well done, Nikon, for moving so fast. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.